What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. What we're going to be doing today is replacing the wheel cylinder on the driver's side of the car in the rear. It's leaking and I need to go ahead and get this fixed. Eventually we're going to probably rebuild the whole brake system on the car, but for right now that thing's leaking pretty bad. So I just went to AutoZone, picked up a wheel cylinder. I'll go ahead and tell you guys, it's been years, like 20 plus years since I have messed with any drum brakes or wheel cylinder, so I'm a little rusty on it, but I'm sure we'll figure it out as I go along. I want to talk to you guys real quick about one thing though. I want to mention why I did the car the way that I did and why a lot of things weren't filmed. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, man, you don't have to explain yourself, but honestly I do, because that's what my channel is about, is being honest and upfront with you guys and explaining why it is that I do what I do. Because you know what, maybe you want to do things the way I do, or maybe you don't want to do things the way I do. So real quick, like the way I did this car was, obviously we painted it first and we got an engine in it. Interior still trashed. The engine, we basically just threw one head gasket on it and got it running. The reason why I did that is to stay motivated. I knew if we painted this car, then it would drive me to want to get an engine in this thing and get it running. Also knew once we got the engine in this thing and got it running, I would want to continue on with it. So meaning like the brakes, the interior, and then what we'll do is we'll get the engine running good. I know not everybody operates that way, and a lot of you guys think, well man, that's kind of silly the way you did this, but to be honest with you, it's what I have to do. I have limited time. I'm a working man. I have a family, and if I drag a build out over a year and a half, it's really going to be added pressure on me and my family. So essentially what I did was just knock this thing out in a short period of time, and I mean I was on it, guys. I was grinding away, getting after this thing. And the reason why was because I knew that I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it was just push, go as hard as I could to get this thing to a point to where then I can stop, I can slow down. And we are here now. We can slow down with this car and we can enjoy what it is that we've built. I'm borderline obsessed whenever it comes to something like this. When I get after something, I'm relentless until I can get to a point to where I can take a breath. Guys, I couldn't sleep at night during the process of this. I mean, I tossed and I turned and I thought about what I needed to do next, how I was going to do it, where the money was going to come from, all of this stuff. So that's why I do what I do. I can't help it. It's just me. It's my nature. It may be wrong, I don't know, but it's who I am and it's what I do. So that's why we did things the way we did with this car. And I encourage you guys, ask yourself, what is it that's going to keep you motivated? Is it a long, tedious, drawn out project that's going to take a year, 2 years? Maybe. For me, it's not. I can't do that. I've got to get on something while I'm hot and while it's fresh on my mind and get after it. So with that being said, maybe that would work for some of you guys. I don't know. Get yourself to a point to where you can at least look at the car and be happy with what it is you've got, and then you can slow down. Hey, look, I can drive this thing to the service station if I need to. I can drive it to the grocery store down the road if I need to. You know, like a couple miles here or there, this car's good. I wouldn't necessarily trust it, you know, on a 50, 100 mile journey, no, but we're getting there. Anyway, let me go ahead and get to the point of this video. So today we're going to obviously be doing the wheel cylinder on this side because it's leaking pretty bad. And we also are going to put some struts on the front of this car. Now I have some used but really good struts that come off of the red car. So we're going to put those up front because I have a feeling that the struts are worn out on this thing. I mean, it should not sit that low in the front with just a half a coil cut. So I mean, it looks like tough and it looks cool and all that, but it's too low. So I'd like to pick it up ever so slightly, kind of make it match the back a little bit. So we're going to put these struts on. I'm not sure if it's going to pick it up, but we'll see. Then we have a sway bar that we may or may not get to today. So we'll probably put the sway bar on, do the struts, and do the wheel cylinder. That's going to be about it. As you guys know, we have AC in the car, and yes, it's the next day and it's still holding air, it's still working, so I'm happy with that. All right, Andrew's on his way over, so I'll go ahead and get the car pulled in, and hopefully here pretty soon we'll get started. See you guys then. We got a few parts off of the donor car. Man, I'm telling you guys, this thing has been a blessing. So we got the quad shocks, and I'm probably just going to shoot a little bit of black on them. Missed a little bit of black over the sway bar. Now eventually we're going to replace these sway bar bushings because they're on their way out. They're not bad yet, but they're getting there. Anyway, this is a convertible sway bar. Now I do think that someone has sent a sway bar already. So I don't know if it's the front sway bar or the rear sway bar. Either way, it's an easy fix. So we're going to go ahead and put these struts on, probably put the quad shocks on, and I don't know if we'll have time, but we're gonna get, something's probably not gonna get done today. I really need to get this wheel cylinder done though, because that's leaking brake fluid, and it's getting on my wheels, and I don't want to mess my wheels up. So I need to get that taken care of. Then we'll see what we got time for after that. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've got the car on the jack stands, but there's one thing that I forgot to show you. So last night I kind of was messing around with the car a little bit out here, and look what we have working. That's right guys, we have a hood light. You know, whenever you take a parts car that doesn't have anything, even though you're robbing parts off of another car, it still doesn't matter. As you fix things, it just, man, it makes you feel so good. So it's usually the little things like this that are left out. So we still have to get a hood liner, and we'll do that at some point. Anyway, so we got an under hood light, and also, you guessed it guys, we have an LED in here too. Now that is all that I've done so far as like interior wise, stuff like that. But I will be putting LEDs in the dash in here, and let me show you guys the difference. Now this is in a dark garage, so I'm gonna turn everything on. That's on. Trust me whenever I tell you that it's as bright as it'll get. This car is sitting out in the sun, well, kind of in the sun, but I want to show you the difference between the LEDs. Look at that. That's crazy. So you really want these LEDs. They make all the difference in the world. You know, I understand a lot of guys don't like the LEDs as far as like dome light goes, and I get that. But as far as dash lights go, LEDs are the way to go. Some people think you have to have the colored LEDs for your dash. You don't have to have any sort of colored bulb. All the coloring is done in the dash itself, so you don't need anything but a clear bulb. I'm just trying to cover things for some of the guys that don't know. So yeah, it's just clear bulbs. That's all that goes in there, and everything lights up accordingly. Its correct color. Anyway, there'll be a link down below for that. A word of advice. This is something I kind of want to cover real quick. Like anytime you have a car up on a jack stand like this or on a jacks, my rule is I never get under a car if someone is not home. So if no one's home, I don't get under my car. I mean, maybe occasionally, but I try to really focus on not doing that, because if this thing were to fall on you, and let's say it didn't fall on you enough to kill you, but it fell on you and it had you where, you know, pinned down, and maybe somebody could come and jack the car back up and get it off of you, and it could save your life, you know. But if there's nobody here, you could be trapped for hours, hell, days sometimes, depending on your situation, and nobody know that you're under there, and you could have been saved. I want you guys to think about that next time you're out here working on your car or something and nobody's home, and you crawl underneath this thing and nobody knows that you're under it. At least, at the very least, like, let somebody know that you're under the car and say, hey, look, you know, if I don't call you back and if I don't check back in 30 minutes or an hour or whatever the case may be, you know, check on me or whatever. I would hate to see that happen. And it's happened so many times. People get trapped under cars, and that's it, guys. All right, anyway, we'll get off that subject. Andrew will be over here in a few minutes, and we'll get started on the car. Well, Andrew is late as usual, so I had to go ahead and start without him. All I did was put the new strut on. Well, it's not new, it's used, but we will eventually get new struts. But for right now, these are good struts that I took off of the red car. And now we're going to go ahead and get to this sway bar underneath the car here, and it's going to be really hard to see, but I'll brighten everything up for you. You can see the sway bar right here. What you're going to have to do is just get a jack if you're doing this by yourself, and pretty much just start jacking up until you get to the point to where these mounts will actually mount up. See how close these are? It actually mounts in these holes right here. So you don't want that to happen. See that, guys, that's why it's important to have somebody to help you. All right, let me get this situated, and I'm just going to go ahead and bolt this up, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Everything's just on this side, so I've only done this one side, and as you can see, that sway bar mount's pretty much shot. So we're going to have to get new mounts. All of this stuff's going to have to be replaced at some point. Like, this is just get by. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, man, while you're here, you need to do it. Well, we don't have the money right now to do it, so we're working on a budget just like you guys would. What we do have is a little bit of time. So what we can do is fix the things that we can fix for free, essentially. So I can repack these bearings for free. I can put this sway bar on because we already had it for free. And these are used struts right here. So yeah, everything should be all right. Hopefully this picks the car up just a little bit. We'll see. If not, we'll have to go back to an isolator. But I'm just so glad to have the sway bar back on the car, because I tell you guys, this thing's kind of so we need to do that. This thing needs ball joints, inner and outer tie rods, all that stuff. So we'll get all that stuff taken care of. Anyway, this is where we're at right now. All you have to do is just put your sway bar up there, get a couple bolts started, and you'll be good to go. Now, I've not tightened these, as you can see. I tried to video that for you guys, but the damn thing about fell on my head. So as soon as he gets here, I'll try to video more on the other side and show you guys, you know, how to take the strut off and this and that, stuff like that. All right, I'll see you whenever he gets here. Hey guys, look who I found. Oh, I've been fussing about you, by the way.
Good.
I've been fussing.
He told me he had to work.
Yeah, he claims that I said I had to work. I told him I got to work the next day. Anyway, so this is how I remove a strut. So Andrew's going to go ahead, hit this. So take your top nut off.
I know sometimes it's
Just this. Hold it. All right, tighten it up. Alright guys, when something like that happens, a lot of times what you can do is take the pressure. See, I got a jack under the car, under the A-arm right now, guys. So what you can do is like let it all the way down, and this should put enough pressure on it. Hit it and hold it. See that? So
I've never seen it really pop off that easy.
yeah, so what happens is when you let the jack down like this, you're putting pressure on that thing, and most of the time it'll pop on off. But when you have it jacked up, there's no pressure on it. To change a strut out, that's really how I start out right there. You take your pieces, set them off to the side, and from here we just have to take these off. That's a 24 millimeter right there, and the other side is 19. I think it is on the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and ease down on this. Andrew's gonna pull down on the strut, and it'll just slide right out, just like that. And we'll leave it kind of locked. We're gonna replace this brake line, but we don't have one right now, so we're not trying to go there just yet. So I've got this over there. 24 millimeter. Yep. And you're probably gonna have, if the bolts are pushed through from that side, a lot of times you're gonna have to take the caliper off. So we'll have to see on that. Yeah. That's all you gotta do. Take off those two bolts, and the strut will come off. Let me help Andrew real quick, and I'll get back to you in just a second. So here is our used strut. So all you have to do here is slide the dust cover on the boot. It's noosed. All right, and from here there is a spacer that goes on top. Hold that. Spacer goes like that, and that is the setup, guys. Whew, that is beautiful, man. I'll tell you what.
That's a good looking strut.
It is. It really is a good looking strut. All right, so all you gotta do is slide these in. There's little channels. I'll let Andrew get his in first. All right, so on these, you can stick a screwdriver or something in there to line everything up. Now, some struts I have seen already have the spacer kind of already made in, so you might not have to use that. Just so you know, you just put your two bolts back in, tighten everything up, push the strut down, push it over, and let it come up. That's all you're gonna do. We'll come back up to this hole here, put your bolt back on it. All right, we're gonna go ahead, get this thing done, get back to you in a minute. I am gonna show you how to install the end links for your sway bar, so we're going to do that in just a second. Right now, Andrew's going to go ahead and tighten this up. So once again, I can show you the same trick if it doesn't go down. All right, so all you got to do is get you a couple threads. So as you can see, he's got a couple threads on top like this. Now watch. Alright, so now we're going to do the sway bar end link, and that's about it. I mean, that's all we got to do up front, so should be pretty easy. Alright guys, so this is your sway bar end link. Okay, so go ahead and get it started in your sway bar like that. You're going to need one of the isolators on the bottom, and then you're going to need the nut to go on the bottom, so it'll just go like that. Just come from underneath, slide one on. Your nut started. This is a 5/16, and that slides over perfectly on your sway bar end link. Just come underneath, Okay, now that we have that tight, we're going to jack up on the bottom of the A-arm to push up, hopefully get enough slack. Five sixteenths, and that is that. So now what I want to do is get under here and just tighten up this sway bar, the 2 bolts going up into it, and we should be good. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead, finish this up, and then we'll look at the car and we'll talk about what we did. All right, we are done, and looks like it might have picked it up maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. Like I said, those struts were worn completely out. Yeah, picked it up a little bit. So we'll see. It's still got to settle. So we'll see what it looks like. Still got to get caster camber plates for this thing and get it all lined up, because this thing is way bad out of alignment. So I mean, the toe's off, the caster camber's off. We may go ahead and do the wheel cylinder in the back. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Brush out the kitchen.
All right, guys, we have the wheel cylinder off, and as you can see, broke off the bleeder valve last time we were working on it. So this is a good thing. Needed to replace this anyway. Andrew, what the hell are you doing? Anyway, you can see where it was leaking right there. So yeah, there's that. And here is our new one. So we'll go ahead and pull the plug out of it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put this on, and I'll get back to you guys here in just a few minutes. We've got the new wheel cylinder in, and we've got the brakes back in.
47 days.
Yeah, it took forever. So this is more or less like a learning experience. It's been like 25 years since I've done rear drums. So you're not going to get to see any footage, you know, from us trying to figure it out. Like, we were online, like, trying to get diagrams and stuff. So, but we do have to do the other side. So when we do the other side, I'll take you through it. It's not a hard process. It started to come back to me a little bit once we started doing some research. But I'm not going to lie, it took a little while. I tell you guys, there's a lot more engineering in those rear drums than there is in the calipers. It's like, why don't they just use calipers, right? We'll go ahead and get the car on the ground, make sure we got brakes. I'll get back to you then. I don't know, but that ain't gonna work. Guys,
Not at all.
we want to talk about some fitment, yo. Andrew brought up a good point earlier. This could have been 4-cylinder springs in this car, and with them being stock height, you know, it was a little lower than stock. And when we cut half a coil off these 4-cylinder springs, I think that's probably a problem. And you know what? Now thinking about it, I think they are a little thinner around. So I've got another set of stock springs. We'll get it all worked out, or either we'll just order a set of springs. Either way. But looks like the brakes are working better, so we're getting a lot closer to being able to drive this car. And like, when I say drive it, I mean like actually take it out and drive it for, you know, 10, 15, 20 miles, something like that. So we're getting close, and this very well may do it right here. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.